Okay, we've got a quick video for you today. I want to discuss the tooth identifiers, or as we often call them, the tooth markers. We want to explain why they are very crucial and important that they are placed in the right spot. The software does an okay job placing those markers, but it definitely requires a good human can make sure that they're in the right spot. So if you are one of our doctors who uses our lab services, so we do the initial setup for you, this is perhaps maybe less of a concern, but it's still good for you guys to understand this in case you see something strange later on, like even back in, once you get to step 6 and before you place on the brackets, if something's looking a little off, it's most likely because a tooth identifier was missed or not put in the right spot. I'm just going to show 2 of them. There's obviously, we've got 5 over here, but there are 2 of them that are most crucial. So let's click on occlusal markers. Let me turn these on. The reason why this is important is because this tells the software where the incisal edges on those interiors, and of course the cusp tips as well, and the posteriors. So the way this works is if the software had kind of not done a good job, and let's say it placed this marker clear down here, and now if I update this marker and bring it back to this position, so this red line here of our grid kind of represents our occlusal plane. And the reason why that tooth is hanging down so far is because that pink marker, it thinks, well, that's the incisal edge. So that's why it's important for our QA, if we're doing the initial setup, or if you are a doctor doing all these steps yourself, it's really important to make sure that these pink markers are on the appropriate spot, at the apex of the incisal edge, and then at the top of the cusp tips on those posterior teeth. So you can see there I just hit update marker, and that would put that tooth where it's supposed to be. So those are quite important. And then the other one are your marginal ridges. They're all important. You want, for example, your long axis obviously are quite important too. It's a bit of a guess unless you open up your radiographic images and look at your pano. Make sure that those look fairly good. So yeah, those are important, but I really want to focus on the marginal ridges are really big for us. And where the software puts it might not always be correct. You might see something that looks like that. So you can right-click and drag, or you can just right-click the area where you want that sphere to go. So they just right-click it, twice actually, then it goes right where you need it. But bottom line, if you spend a little bit of time and make sure our technicians did it right, if we can get those marginal ridges in the right spot, it's a big help. So from the occlusal view, you can see that the teeth have been rotated. We can switch to pre-treatment and then animate it. So this really helps the software know where the teeth need to end up by placing those occlusal markers in the right spot. Or sorry, not occlusal markers, the marginal ridges in the right spot. Okay, the other reason why the marginal ridges are important and where you place them is the software does a decent job, adjusting the heights, the tip, the torque, the rotation to get those to line up. Once you have kind of this start with the end in mind, we can place your prescription brackets on there. And of course, this stuff is going to change, but the placement of those brackets can be much more accurate initially. You'll still have to do some adjusting if we can start with the end in mind and we have these teeth where they need to be. So that's what we wanted to show you today. If you have any questions, as always, give us a call. We're happy to hear from you and answer any of those questions that you might have. Thank you.